So I talked about this on my GR for, things I would like to have in the next generation of GR. And the biggest problem that I have, and the biggest problem that a lot of other people have with the GR series, is the video. And I feel like there's plenty of people out there who like GR, who are Ricoh enthusiasts, because Ricoh has been really poor with their video implementation for a long time throughout their entire camera lineup. So, the general consensus that I hear online, that I hear from people who are Ricoh Pentax users, is the notion that, well, if you want a video camera, go buy a video camera. This is a stills camera. It shoots stills perfectly, so therefore, if you want a video camera, get another camera. This isn't for you. And it's kind of given with the notion that if you care about video, or if you're even interested in video, or if that's something that interests you, then you just don't understand photography. And I feel like people who think like that don't understand marketing. They don't understand, they don't understand how to sell themselves. They don't know how to make money. They don't understand social media or how to sell that. So I feel like video is something that you need. You need to be able to deliver at least a very base level, like what I'm giving to you right now. So the issue with that becomes, I love my GR because of its simplicity. I don't have a lot of moving parts. And I can come to you and make this video, and it's an all-in-one camera. And it's a very small footprint in my life and in the things that I have. So I like that. But, it has been a kicking boy in the camera community that the GR is just not made for video. And I feel like this gives the notion that it's not good for video at all, and that it's inadequate. So I feel like in order to go over that, we need to talk about what's wrong with GR video. First things first, there is no microphone jack. There's no way to get anything but the in-camera microphone, which is not great. It's not bad, but it's not great. Now, the one saving grace with the internal microphone, when I do use it, is that because it's such a wide lens, I have to be close to the camera, and the closer that you are to the mic, the better that the sound quality is going to be. Now, it's not great, and that's by no means a fix for the problem, but the easier fix is that I typically use a off-camera mic that is really designed for music, and I feel like the actual audio quality that I get from that is so much better than anything that processes through the camera. But the problem is that is an extra step that I have to go through in order to sync that in to my video file and sync up all the audio. It's a bit of a problem, and it's an added step. So, for the idea that I would use my GR as something that is, small footprint, ease of use, trying to communicate with social media as a social media tool, it's a bit of a drag. I'm not going to lie about that. The second biggest one that I have a problem with is I cannot control my shutter speed in video mode at all. For that matter, I can't control aperture, I can't control ISO, I can't control anything. It is in full program mode, and it won't even tell me what it's doing. Now, for that being said, I think it's a control freak issue in me, in the sense that for the most part, when I look at the video that I shoot, it's good quality. Like, I feel like it's a good looking readout. And I think that has a lot more to do with it being a high quality sensor. So you're getting, a readout from a good sensor. It's good glass. It's a good signal to noise ratio, and it's going it's being processed well by a really good imaging processor. So it doesn't look bad. Now, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look as cinematic as I would like for it to, but it does have its own quality. I think the problem that I have more than anything else is I don't like the lack of control. There's different looks, there's different feels, there's different things you can do when you have full manual control over a camera. And I have that in photos, I have that in stills, I do not have that in video. And I don't like giving that up. It feels very wrong. I mean, you can't see your image. So like right now I can't see a video of myself. We're out of focus. When I check and I'm editing, if the video is wildly out of focus, it's a ruined video and I have to start over again. Well, the other thing I will say that is a negative is it's a slow readout sensor, which means that sensors read one line at a time. So you have pixels topped on top of each other, so it reads from top to bottom. And if you have a slow readout speed, if there's any sort of movement, you can get like a jello wobbly look to it, and this is a slow readout sensor. So in video, where there's a no shutter mechanism that goes between the sensor and the subject, any sort of movement, like if I were to pan the camera quickly, it's going to pick up, and it doesn't look good. It's a bad look to it. That being said, it really depends on what you're going to be taking video of. Like for what I'm doing, just talking to the camera, like, you know, I don't talk fast to begin with, but even people who do, like the idea that my mouth is going to be all wiggly and whatever, I mean, this isn't like some sort of 80s video call from you know, like Austin Powers or something. Like it's functional, and I think it looks good. So for me, the real issues are what I said. There's audio issues. There are control issues that need to be there. And then you get into the other thing that people complain about is the lack of 4K, which I don't think is an issue. I tie that in a little bit with the battery life of the camera, because it's poor battery life, you're not getting a lot of charge. So as quickly as it runs through the battery doing 1080, I can't imagine what it would do with 4K, not to mention that you're going to then introduce a need for heat sink, which, you know, is its own issue. You're also going to need a sensor that can read out in 4K. I don't know for certain, but I have a good idea of what sensor is being used, and I don't believe it is a 4K readout sensor. So with that being said, you're now needing to facilitate a newer sensor, which is going to be more expensive, which is then going to increase the price for the entire unit, and all these sorts of things. So for what the GR is, I really don't have a problem with 1080. I don't have a problem with the sensor. I feel like the manual controls over video functions could be a firmware update in what we have now. And then the only issue then becomes the sound. So with what I'm working with right now, the video quality is good enough that I don't complain. Because I use an external recorder for sound, I don't really complain about that. So the only real complaint left for me is battery life, which, you know, I've already have with the stills. So my solution is, one, to have a plethora of additional batteries on my side and charged and ready to go, and to have an idea of how long I'm going to be recording myself for, and keep a really good look at the camera to kind of know where it's at. And over time, I just kind of know how long a camera has in recording, so I don't start recording a video that I know I don't have time for. And if I'm recording something live or I'm recording an event, then I constantly have other batteries, and I'm at that point behind the camera looking at all my functions. And you know, when there are inevitably breaks in the action, or you're taking a take or whatever, you switch out the battery and you keep going. So I feel like it's a very functional system. I feel like regardless of whether it's this system or another system, having an idea of battery life, having an idea of, card and how much data is being recorded on a card. I mean, I think I have like 120 something gig card. I can't think of any day or shoot or series of shoots that I've done that have gone over like 20 or 25 gigs, which is, less than a quarter, or, like 20% of what's there. So, but I'm still aware. And I feel that way with battery. Like I've never, once you get a feel for what a camera can do or can't do, you just find workarounds. So having an extra battery isn't the worst of workarounds. Having an extra SD card isn't awful or, unreasonable. Ultimately, what I'm focused on is the image, is the actual feedback that is going into the camera, which is the lens and how the image is being processed. Is that acceptable? And not just acceptable, but desirable. And if so, if that is, then, you know, it's like I was just looking at a thing for the new screen that they have in Las Vegas, the 18K screen, and they have a special camera that they designed, and it's the only camera that, can shoot images that are good enough for this one screen that only exists in one place on Earth. And, they just shot the first movie for it, and it took 18 people to run the camera. 18 people. Well, if the camera meets your artistic output, if the output from the camera is good enough, then, you find workarounds to make it work because you have to. And I find the output from the GR to be good enough. And sure, there are workarounds, but even more so than the actual file output from the camera, which is still excellent, is I find that the working progress, the actual process of using the GR to be so freeing that it's simplicity itself. It just makes my mind, it like tickles my brain, and it's worth it to me.